Environment Basel, Rotterdam and Stockholm, BRS, COP 2025 News. The 17th Basel, 12th Rotterdam and 12th Stockholm Convention meetings were recently held consecutively in Geneva. Key outcomes of the three COPs. Joint commitment. The three COPs agreed to work more closely together, improve policy coordination, and make funding more efficient. They also stressed the need to strengthen ties with other global environmental agreements and initiatives. Basel Convention, BC COP 17. The COP adopted revised technical guidelines to improve the management of wastes containing persistent organic pollutants, POPs. A strategic framework for 2025 to 2031 was adopted to support environmentally sound waste management practices globally. A new initiative was launched to address the transboundary movement of textile waste, expanding the scope of sector-specific waste control. Rotterdam Convention, RC COP 12. 2 hazardous pesticides were added to Annex 3 under the prior informed consent, PIC, procedure, carbosulfan and fenthion in ultra-low-volume formulation. The parties approved the Compliance Committee's work program for 2026 to 2027 to enhance the implementation of the convention. Stockholm Convention, SC COP 12. 3 harmful substances were added to Annex A, requiring their elimination. Chlorpyrifos, widely used pesticide. Long-chain perfluorocarboxylic acids, LCPFCs, medium-chain chlorinated paraffins, MCCPs, convention year of entry into force purpose. Key features. India's status. Basel 1989 to reduce the focuses on India is a convention movement of hazardous waste between nations, especially from developed to less developed countries, LDCs. Hazardous waste does not cover radioactive waste. Party. Rotterdam 2004 to promote informed, regulates ratified convention decision-making regarding the trade of hazardous chemicals through the prior informed consent, PIC, procedure. International trade of hazardous chemicals through PIC procedure by India in 2006, legally binding. Stockholm Convention 2004 to protect human health and the environment from persistent organic pollutants, POPs. Global ban/restriction on POPs. Over 152 countries are parties. Ratified by India in 2006, legally binding, Bonn Climate Change Conference. News. The annual Bonn Climate Change Conference has commenced, with over 5,000 government delegates and stakeholders gathering in Bonn, Germany. About the Bonn Climate Change Conference. Annual mid-year meeting. United Nations. It is held under the Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, an international treaty signed in 1992 that forms the basis for global climate negotiations. Apart from the annual conference of the parties, COP, it is the only other major regular summit convened by the UNFCCC. Formal name. The conference is formally known as the Sessions of the UNFCCC Subsidiary Bodies, SBs. Objective. It primarily focuses on technical, scientific, and procedural aspects of climate negotiations. It also sets the groundwork for the COP, which is generally held in November each year. Participants. The conference is attended by members of the subsidiary bodies, indigenous representatives, scientists, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders. Significance. Recommendations and draft texts negotiated here often shape the final outcomes agreed upon at the COP. Progress on the implementation of decisions from previous COPs is also reviewed. Agenda for 2025. A major focus is on advancing the Global Goal on Adaptation, GGA, a collective objective established under the Paris Agreement, 2015, to enhance adaptive capacity, strengthen resilience, and reduce vulnerability to climate change worldwide. Biological diversity, access and benefit sharing, regulations, 2025. News. The National Biodiversity Authority, NBA, has released a new set of rules to manage sharing of benefits generated through the use of biological resources. Key highlights. Biological diversity, ABS, Regulation, 2025-1. Benefit sharing linked to turnover. Entities with annual turnover over 1 Indian rupee crore must submit annual resource usage statements. Benefit sharing rates based on annual gross ex-factory sale price, excluding taxes turnover, Indian rupee CR. Benefit sharing rate up to 5 crore Indian rupees exempt 5 Indian rupees, to 50 crore Indian rupees 0.2%, 50 Indian rupees, to 250 crore Indian rupees 0.4%. Above 250 crore Indian rupees 0.6% to high-value biological resources. For biological resources of high conservation or economic value, at least 5% of the auction proceeds, sale value, or purchase price must be shared. In cases of commercial exploitation, the benefit sharing rate can exceed 20%. Examples include red sanders, agarwood, and other threatened or high-value species. 3. Digital sequence information, DSI. DSI, genetic codes from DNA, RNA, proteins, now treated as part of genetic resources. COP 16 of CBD, 2024, Cali, Colombia, established a multilateral benefit sharing mechanism for DSI. 4. Researchers and intellectual property applicants. Researchers and IPR applicants are required to share benefits. 10 to 15% of the total collected benefits are retained by the National Biodiversity Authority, NBA. 5. Exemption for cultivated medicinal plants. Cultivated medicinal plants are exempt from benefit sharing under the Biological Diversity Amendment Act, 2023. Encourages a YUSH sector and traditional medicine. Mixed products, cultivated plus wild, may also be exempt if notified by MOEFCC in consultation with AYUSH. Access and benefit sharing, ABS. Definition. ABS governs the access to biological/genetic resources and ensures fair and equitable sharing of benefits with local communities or nations. Process. Requires prior informed consent, PIC, from the resource provider. Involves mutually agreed terms, MAT, for benefit sharing. Legal framework. Rooted in Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD. Operationalized by the Nagoya Protocol, 2010. In India, enforced via Biological Diversity Act, 2002 ABS and Regulation, 2025. SC strikes down retrospective environmental clearances. News. The Supreme Court recently, in the case Vanashakti versus Union of India, ruled that retrospective environmental clearances for projects are illegal, arbitrary, and against environmental law and constitutional principles. Retrospective environmental clearance, or ex post facto EC, refers to granting environmental approval to a project after construction or operations have already commenced, rather than obtaining it beforehand. Key highlights of the judgment. 1. Retrospective clearances held illegal. The Supreme Court declared ex post facto environmental clearances illegal, arbitrary, and in violation of Articles 14 and 20, of the Constitution. 2. Policy framework quashed. The court struck down the 2017 Environmental Amnesty Notification and the 2021 Office Memorandum that permitted such clearances. 3. Ban on future retrospective ECs. While existing clearances under the quashed policies remain valid, the Center is barred from issuing any new retrospective approvals. 4. Reinforcement of environmental principles. The judgment upheld the precautionary principle and reaffirmed the government's constitutional duties under Articles 48A, 51A, G, and the fundamental right to a healthy environment under Article 21. Environmental Impact Assessment, EIA. The EIA notification of 2006 was introduced to ensure that developmental projects undergo evaluation for potential environmental impacts prior to receiving approval. It divides projects into two categories. Category A, appraised at the national level, requires prior environmental clearance, EC, from the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOEFCC. The decision is based on the recommendations of the Expert Appraisal Committee, EAC. Category B, appraised at the state/UT level, requires prior EC from the respective state or Union Territory Environment Impact Assessment Authority, SEIA. The clearance is granted based on inputs from the State or UT Expert Appraisal Committee, SEAC. IUCN's new Green Status Assessment news. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, has come out with its first Green Status Assessment for the lion, Panthera leo, in Africa and India. About IUCN's new Green Status Assessment, it serves as a complementary tool to the IUCN Red List, aiming to evaluate species recovery and the effectiveness of conservation actions. Unlike the Red List, which focuses solely on extinction risk, the Green Status also considers how well a species is bouncing back, factoring in its presence within its historical range, its long-term viability, and its role in the ecosystem. There are 8 Green Status categories: extinct in the wild, critically depleted, largely depleted, moderately depleted, slightly depleted, fully recovered, non-depleted, and indeterminate. There are now over 100 IUCN Green Status of Species assessments on the IUCN Red List. First Green Status Assessment for the lion. Lion Green Status, largely depleted, while the species remains vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. Impact of human activity. Ongoing human pressures are limiting the lion's ability to play its natural ecological role throughout its current range. Regional extinction. Lions have been completely lost from North Africa and Southwest Asia. Conservation achievements. Targeted efforts in West and Southern Central Africa, South Africa, and India have successfully averted potential local extinctions and supported population stability. CPCB revises industry classification. News. The Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, has introduced a revised classification system for industries, which includes a new blue category for essential environmental services. Classification methodology. This updated classification is based on the Pollution Index, PI, methodology introduced in 2016, which assigns equal weightage to pollution from air, water, and hazardous waste to ensure a harmonized evaluation. Blue category. Introduced under essential environmental services, it includes facilities responsible for managing waste from domestic or household activities. Industries included sewage treatment plants, STPs, composting units, biogas plants, material recovery facilities, MRFs, and waste-to-energy, WT, incinerators. However, compressed biogas plants based on industrial or process waste will remain in the red category. Incentives. Industries may receive permit extensions as a reward for effective implementation of environmental management practices. Classification of industries by CPCB industry examples. Red, PI greater than 80, cement, manufacturing of automobiles, distilleries, etc. Orange, 55 less than or equal to PI less than 80, brick manufacturing, dry cell battery, coal washeries, etc. Green, 25 less than or equal to PI less than 55. Manufacturing of compact disc computer, CD, DVD, chilling plants, etc. White, PI less than 25, assembly of air coolers, cardboard manufacturing, medical oxygen, etc. Blue, based on CPCB formula. Municipal solid waste management facility, sanitary landfills / integrated sanitary landfills, etc. Sewage treatment plants, etc. Carbon tax. News. Recently, India, along with 62 other countries, voted in favor of the first global carbon tax on the shipping industry, adopted by the International Maritime Organization, IMO, in London. About carbon tax penalty. Excessive A carbon tax is a type of that businesses must pay for greenhouse gas emissions. The objective is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by creating a financial disincentive for pollution and encouraging clean energy alternatives. It is calculated based on the amount of CO2 or other GHGs emitted and promotes a market-based climate solution. The carbon tax is a type of Pigouvian tax. Types of carbon taxes. Emissions tax, imposed on the total greenhouse gas (GHG) emissions calculated according to the carbon content of the fuels consumed. Energy tax, a tax on fossil fuel usage, determined by either the carbon content or the amount of energy used. Cap-and-trade system. It is a market-based approach to reducing GHG emissions, where a government sets a limit, cap, on total emissions and allows companies to buy, sell, or trade emission permits within that cap. Border tax adjustment, a carbon tax applied to imported goods based on the emissions generated during their production, aimed at preventing carbon leakage and ensuring fair competition. Note: India currently does not have a nationwide carbon tax, but there have been proposals to introduce one. About International Maritime Organization (IMO). It is a specialized agency of the United Nations that is responsible for measures to improve the safety and security of international shipping and prevent marine pollution from ships. It has an integral role in meeting the targets set out in UN SDG 14, conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Members. IMO currently has 176 member states headquartered, London, UK's Surrogate Emission Trading Scheme, ETS. News. A recent study published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics validated that Surrogate's Emissions Trading Scheme, ETS, led to a 20 to 30% reduction in pollution and brought down compliance costs by 11%. About Surrogate Emission Trading Scheme, ETS. Launched in 2019 in Gujarat, the Surrogate Emission Trading Scheme, ETS, is the world's first market-based system for trading particulate matter, PM, emissions, and India's first pollution trading scheme of any kind. It was developed by the Gujarat Pollution Control Board, GPCB, in collaboration with the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago. Purpose: to tackle air pollution in Surat. How it works: cap and trade. The system follows the cap-and-trade principle, where a total emissions limit is set across all participating industries. Each industrial unit receives a fixed limit, cap, on the amount of particulate matter it is allowed to emit. Units that emit less than their assigned cap can trade their unused emission allowances with others that exceed their limits. Trading platform. Industries trade permits on a platform by NAML, National Commodities and Derivatives Exchange e-markets. Green Hydrogen Certification Scheme of India. News. The Government of India has introduced the Green Hydrogen Certification Scheme of India, GHCI, under the National Green Hydrogen Mission. About Green Hydrogen Certification Scheme of India, GHCI. Purpose: it is aimed at establishing a framework to certify green hydrogen production and ensure transparency, traceability, and market credibility. The GHCI mandates that all green hydrogen producers except those producing solely for export must undergo a certification process to verify that their hydrogen is produced exclusively using renewable energy sources. Ministry. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, MNRE, Nodal Agency, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BE. The MNRE is responsible for formulating a comprehensive methodology that includes the measurement, monitoring, reporting, on-site verification, and certification of green hydrogen and its associated derivatives. Scope of certification. The certification is conducted at the project level, covering all production stages up to the compression and purification of hydrogen for transport. Activities beyond the plant premises including transportation, storage, conversion to hydrogen carriers, reconversion, and final use are excluded from the certification boundary. Types of certificates. The scheme allows for the issuance of two distinct types of certificates to green hydrogen production facilities. Concept certificate, voluntary, issued during the design or planning stage. Facility level certificate, mandatory, issued based on actual facility operations and compliance. Emission intensity criteria. Emissions must be calculated using the official MNRE green hydrogen emission calculation methodology. Green certification is conditional on meeting the average emission intensity requirements of 2 kg CO2 EQ/kgH2 or less. Certificate characteristics. The green hydrogen certificate is non-transferable and non-tradable. It cannot be used to claim any form of emission reduction credits under carbon markets or offset mechanisms. United Nations Forum on Forests, UNFF 20. News. India actively participated in the 20th session of the United Nations Forum on Forests, UNFF 20, held at the UN headquarters in New York from May 5 to 9, 2025. About United Nations Forum on Forests, it promotes the management, conservation, and sustainable development of all types of forests. It was established in 2000 by the UN Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, ECOSOC. The forum meets annually at the UN headquarters in New York, bringing together representatives of all member states and forest-related agencies for high-level dialogue on technical matters in odd years and policy matters in even years. The forum has universal membership and is composed of all member states of the United Nations and specialized agencies. Membership. It has a universal membership encompassing all member states of the United Nations. India is a founding member of UNFF. Operation Olivia News. Operation Olivia has shielded over 8 lakh olive ridley turtles on Idasiska Hermitha coast. About Operation Olivia, it is a vital initiative by the Indian Coast Guard aimed at ensuring safe nesting grounds for olive ridley turtles. It is conducted annually from November to May. The operation focuses on Gahermitha Beach, Rushakulia River mouth, and Devi River mouth. About olive ridley turtles. It has a circumtropical distribution, with nesting occurring throughout tropical waters, except the Gulf of Mexico. Conservation status: IUCN Red List. Vulnerable sites. Appendix I. It prohibits trade in turtle products by signatory countries. Indian Wildlife Protection Act, 1972. Schedule 1 note. olive ridley turtles have a unique habit of mass nesting called Arabata. Yala Glacier declared dead. News: Nepal held an emotional tribute to Yala Glacier, which is rapidly melting due to climate change. Since the 1970s, the glacier has shrunk by 66% and moved back nearly 800 meters. About Yala Glacier, it is situated in Langtang Valley, Nepal, within the Hindu Kush Himalayan (HKH) region. Yala Glacier is among the most extensively researched glaciers in Nepal and serves as a key representative of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region in the World Glacier Monitoring Service (WGMS) database. It is also the only glacier from the Himalayas to feature on the Global Glacier Casualty List, highlighting its critically endangered status. Several other major glaciers around the world have already been declared dead, including Pisal Glacier in Switzerland, 2019, Clark Glacier in the United States, 2020. Ayaloco Glacier in Mexico, 2021. Note: the world's first glacier funeral was held in 2019 for Öxarkol Glacier in Iceland. Global Glacier Conservation Efforts, United Nations Initiatives. 2025 has been declared the International Year of Glaciers Preservation. March 21st is to be observed annually as World Day for Glaciers. UNESCO's Intergovernmental Hydrological Program. Himalayan Adaptation Network by IUCN. Living Himalayas Initiative by WWF. India marks 50 years of Crocodile Conservation Project. CCP News. India began its crocodile conservation program in 1975, and this year marks 50 years of this successful initiative. Launch of the project. The Crocodile Conservation Project was formally initiated on April 1, 1975. It was implemented across multiple states with the goal of protecting natural habitats and rapidly rebuilding crocodile populations through captive breeding programs. Support and collaboration. The project received technical and financial assistance from the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO. Facilitated through the Government of India. Success of crocodile conservation in India. Remarkable outcomes. Over the past 5 decades, the CCP has emerged as one of India's most effective wildlife conservation efforts. Recovery highlights. By Tarkanika, Odisha now home to 1,826 saltwater crocodiles. Satkoja Gorge, Odisha hosts 16 gharials. Odysseus rivers, approximately 300 mugger crocodiles inhabit various river systems. Note: India now supports 80% of the global wild gharial population, underscoring the project's global significance. Crocodilian species in India. India is home to 3 native species of crocodilians. Odisha is the only Indian state to host wild populations of all 3 native crocodilian species. Revised Green India Mission, GM, News. The central government has released a revised roadmap for the National Mission for Green India, GM, on June 17, 2025. About Green India Mission, GM. Launch. 2014 8 missions launched in as one of the under India's National Action Plan on Climate Change, NAPCC. Nodal Ministry. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOEF and CC, aim to combat climate change by increasing forest and tree cover and restoring degraded ecosystems and forests, to enhance ecosystem services such as carbon sequestration and biodiversity conservation, to improve livelihoods of forest-dependent communities. Original target: to increase forest and tree cover on 5 million hectares of land, to improve the quality of forest cover on an additional 5 million hectares. Key features of the revised Green India Mission microecosystem approach: focuses on area and landscape-specific restoration activities. Priority regions include Aravalli Range, Western Ghats, Indian Himalayas, mangrove ecosystems integrated approach. GM interventions will be integrated with other national initiatives, such as the Aravalli Green Wall Project, to address degradation and desertification. Restoration strategies. Restoration through recovery of open forests, expansion of agroforestry, and plantation on degraded lands. Moves beyond a purely plantation-based model, addressing past criticisms. National commitments and projections. Land degradation. As per ISRO's Desertification and Land Degradation Atlas, around 97.85 million hectares, 1/3 of India's geographical area, was degraded in 2018 to 19. Climate commitments. India aims to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent through enhanced forest and tree cover by 2030, UNFCCC target. India has pledged to restore 26 million hectares of degraded land by 2030. Thirst waves news. According to recent research, thirst waves have increased in severity and frequency, particularly during the crop growing season. About thirst waves. A thirst wave is defined as a period of at least 3 consecutive days when the atmosphere's evaporative demand rises significantly. The term was introduced by researchers Meetpal Kukul and Mike Hobbins. Thirst waves have become more intense, occur more frequently, and last longer, especially during agricultural seasons. How thirst waves differ from heat waves. Heat waves are driven primarily by specific temperature and wind patterns. A thirst wave, however, results from the combined effects of temperature, humidity, solar radiation, and wind speed. Rising temperatures intensify heat and also affect the processes of water exchange between land and atmosphere, which further alters humidity, wind, and solar radiation. Global warming amplifies these combined factors, making the atmosphere more moisture demanding. About evaporative demand, it indicates how thirsty the atmosphere is. It represents the near maximum amount of water that would evaporate from a given area if sufficient water is available. Measurement. Evaporative demand is measured using standardized short-crop evapotranspiration, defined as the water use by a grass surface 12 centimeters high, with continuous access to adequate water and no stress. Evapotranspiration includes evaporation, loss of water from soil and surfaces. Transpiration, loss of water through plant leaves. Consequences. Higher evaporative demand leads to greater moisture loss. This leaves crops and soil drier, which negatively impacts crop health and agricultural productivity. Kitchen and Meaner wetlands. News, Kachan in Phalodi and Meaner in Udaipur have been designated as Ramsar sites. India's total Ramsar sites now stand at 91. About Meaner wetland. Location, Meaner and Karota villages, Vallabhnagar Talika, Udaipur district, Rajasthan. Type, freshwater monsoon wetland complex formed by 3 ponds, Braham Talab, Dan Talab and Karota Talab, and connecting agricultural land. Biodiversity. Habitat for 110 species of waterbirds, 67 migratory species, including critically endangered species, white-rumped vulture and longbilled vulture. Over 70 plant species, with mango trees around Braham Talab hosting large colonies of Indian flying foxes. About Kachan wetland. Location, Phalodi Tahsil, Phalodi district, Rajasthan, in the northern Thar desert. Components, includes Ratri Nadi River, Vijay Zagar Talab, pond, riparian habitat and scrubland. Biodiversity, supports drought-resistant plant species. Habitat for over 150 bird species. Famous for large wintering flocks of migratory demoiselle cranes, Kurjan. With more than 22,000 individuals each year. Salkhan Fossil Park. News, Salkhan Fossil Park, also known as Sombudra Fossils Park, located in Uttar Pradesh, has recently been included in UNESCO's tentative list of World Heritage Sites. About Salkhan Fossil Park. Kaimur Wildlife Sanctuary in Vindhyan Mountains situated within the range, the park hosts fossil records dating back 1.4 billion years, making it one of the oldest and best-preserved fossil sites globally. It is renowned for its rich collection of stromatolite structures formed by cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, offering insights into Mesoproterozoic life. The site predates even Shark Bay, Australia, and Yellowstone, USA, and illustrates the Great Oxidation Event, a major shift in Earth's biological history. The varied stromatolite forms from domal to columnar indicate shifting Proterozoic environmental conditions like water depth, wave energy, and sedimentation. Recognized under IUCN's Geoheritage category, Evolution of Life, the site is significant for understanding early life and Earth's biological evolution. To the point terms/initiatives in news. Continental Shelf. Context. India raises continental shelf claim in Arabian Sea region by nearly 10,000 square kilometers. About continental shelf, the ocean floors can be divided into 4 major divisions. 1. Continental shelf. 2. Continental slope. 3. Deep sea plain. 4. Oceanic deeps. It is the extended margin of each continent occupied by relatively shallow seas and gulfs. It is the shallowest part of the ocean, showing an average gradient of 1 degree, or even less. Width. The width of the continental shelves varies from one ocean to another. The average width of continental shelves is about 80 kilometers. Legal aspects, unclosed definition. Under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, unclose. The continental shelf is the seabed and subsoil extending up to 200 nautical miles from a coastal state's baseline or further if the natural margin extends beyond this limit. Sovereign rights. Coastal nations have exclusive rights to explore and exploit resources on their continental shelf. Extended continental shelf, ECS. Countries can claim beyond 200 nautical miles if they can prove the natural prolongation of their landmass, as India has done in the Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal bioswales. Context. The recent downpour in Gurgaon highlighted the importance of bioswales, as areas along the Aravalli Creek showed positive results. About bioswales description. Bioswales are shallow, vegetated channels designed to collect, filter, and manage stormwater runoff. Primary role. They play a crucial role in preventing erosion, removing pollutants, and promoting groundwater recharge. Structural composition. These systems typically consist of native vegetation, gravel, and sand, which work together to naturally filter and treat stormwater. Key advantages. Bioswales provide efficient stormwater management, help mitigate urban flooding, and contribute to biodiversity conservation. Natural hydrogen. Context. A growing number of sizable companies, from mining giants to energy majors, are embracing the hype for natural hydrogen. About natural hydrogen, it refers to hydrogen gas that is generated and found naturally in the Earth's crust or atmosphere, rather than being produced artificially through industrial processes. It is also called white/gold/geological hydrogen to distinguish it from green from renewables, blue from natural gas with carbon capture, or gray from fossil fuels, hydrogen. Atmospheric memory. Context. A new study reveals that atmospheric memory, not just sunlight, plays a crucial role in the start and end of monsoons. Key findings. The atmosphere retains physical information in the form of water vapor, which influences when monsoons begin and end. Previously, it was believed that monsoon patterns were mainly driven by changes in solar radiation. The study shows that the atmosphere's current state depends on its past. If it has been raining, rainfall continues. If it has been dry, it's harder for rain to start. This phenomenon is known as vistability. Even with the same solar radiation, the atmosphere can remain dry or become rainy, depending on its earlier condition. AIM for Nature. Context. On Earth Day, April 22nd, the Food Initiative and Agriculture Organization, FAO, launched the AIM for Nature Initiative, accelerating innovative monitoring for nature restoration. About AIM for Nature Initiative objective, to enhance the monitoring and reporting of global ecosystem restoration activities. The initiative aims to support the restoration of at least 30% of degraded ecosystems by 2030, aligning with Target 2 of the Global Biodiversity Framework, GBF. I utilize these advanced technologies, standardized data systems, and capacity building to ensure effective restoration efforts. AAM4 Nature builds on FAO's AAM4 Forest program, extending beyond forests to enable a comprehensive approach to monitoring nature restoration species in News Binturong. Context: rare binturong spotted in the Narong Wari Village Reserve Forest, VRF, in Meghalayas Garo Hills. About binturong, it is the largest member of the civet family, Bivarity. It is also known as the bear cat. It is a generally solitary and nocturnal animal that spends the majority of its time moving about slowly and cautiously amongst the trees. Physical feature: they are one of 2 carnivorous species with a prehensile tail, which helps in climbing. The other is the kinkajou. Distribution and habitat: they prefer tropical rainforests and dense forest cover. They are found in a wide range from Northeast India to Southeast Asia. In India, they've been recorded in Assam's Manas National Park and also in Kaziranga National Park in 2024 conservation. IUCN status: vulnerable. Sites: Appendix 3. Wildlife Protection Act, 1972, Schedule 1 Malabar Grey Hornbill. Context: a Kerala-based research team has won the Future Conservationist Award from the Conservation Leadership Program for their work on Malabar Grey Hornbill conservation. About Malabar Grey Hornbill geographical range: it is endemic to the Western Ghats and associated hills of southern India. Habitat: they are found mainly in dense forest and around rubber, areca nut, or coffee plantations. Characteristics: they are the smallest among the Asian hornbills. They have a large beak but lack the casque that is prominent in some other hornbill species. Males have a reddish bill. Females have a yellowish bill with black markings. They move around in pairs or small groups, feeding on figs and other forest fruits. They are notable for their loud cackling, screeching, and laughing calls. IUCN status: vulnerable. Musk deer. Context: a recent CZA report, 2024, reveals that no breeding program has been initiated in Indian zoos for the endangered musk deer. About musk deer: the Himalayan musk deer, Moschus leucogaster, is an endangered mammal indigenous to the Himalayan region, with its range extending across India, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, and China. Behavior: this species is solitary, active mainly at night, nocturnal, and highly territorial. Characteristics: males are distinguished by elongated, curved canine teeth and a musk gland, which is extremely valuable and makes them a frequent target for poachers. Conservation status: IUCN status: endangered. Wildlife Protection Act, Schedule 1 Protected Habitats. Kedarnath Wildlife Sanctuary, established in 1972, spanning 975 square kilometers in the Western Himalayas, plays a critical role in musk deer conservation. Ascot Musk Deer Sanctuary in Uttarakhand was specifically created to safeguard this species. Alfalfa hay. Context: issue of imports of genetically modified alfalfa hay raised in the ongoing Indo-US trade talks. About alfalfa hay, Medicago sativa, it is a perennial, leguminous plant of the pea family, Fabaceae. It is known for its tolerance of drought, heat, and cold, and for the remarkable productivity and quality of its herbage. Green leafy alfalfa hay is very nutritious and is also rich in vitamins A, E, D, and K. Biosphere Reserve/National Park/Wildlife Sanctuary in News Karampuza Wildlife Sanctuary. Location: located on the western slopes of Nilgiris, the sanctuary lies in Malappuram district of Kerala. It shares boundary with Makurthi National Park, Tamil Nadu, in eastern side and Silent Valley National Park, Kerala, on southern side. The name Karampuza is derived from the Karampuza River, a tributary of the River Chaliyar. The forest areas of Karampuza WLS forms part of the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, NBR, recognized under the Man and Biosphere Program of UNESCO. Vegetation type: the sanctuary is the state's only forest stretch, where 7 forest types found in the state are all present, including evergreen rainforest, semi-evergreen forest, moist deciduous forest, subtropical hill forest, subtropical savanna, montane wet temperate forest, and montane wet grasslands fauna. It is home to a variety of fauna endemic to the Western Ghats, including the Nilgiri tahr, lion-tailed macaque, slender loris, tiger, gar. Tribes: Kolonikans, a particularly vulnerable tribal group PVG, cavemen of Kerala, are living inside the Karampuza WLS, Agastyamalai location. It is located in the southernmost end. Biosphere Reserve of the Western Ghats spanning the states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. It was established in 2001 as a biosphere reserve and became part of the UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserves in 2016. Protected areas: it encompasses the protected areas of Shendarni Wildlife Sanctuary, Petpara Wildlife Sanctuary, Nayar Wildlife Sanctuary, Kulakud Mundantherai Tiger Reserve. Climate and vegetation: it has tropical monsoon climate with ecosystem diversity, includes tropical wet evergreen forests, moist deciduous forests, montane rainforests, and shola. Flora: it is the habitat for over 2,250 plant species, including 405 endemic species and rare medicinal herbs, ex. Argyropacha. Fauna: animals include the Bengal tiger, Asian elephant, Nilgiri tahr, grizzled giant squirrel, and birds like great Indian hornbill. Tribes: Agastyamalai is also home to the Kanakaran tribes, one of the oldest surviving ancient tribes in the world. Ranthambore location: it is located in Sawai Madhopur National Park, district of Rajasthan. It is located at the junction of the Aravalli and Vindhya hill ranges. River: the park is bounded to the north by the Banas River and to the south by the Chambal River. Connected Wildlife Sanctuary, Kailadevi Wildlife Sanctuary, and Sawai Munsingha Wildlife Sanctuary are connected to the core of Ranthambore NP by narrow corridors, forming part of the Tiger Reserve. Vegetation, mixed deciduous type flora. The most prevalent plant species in Ranthambore National Park is the dock, scientifically known as Anogesis pendula. Other plant species include banyan, peepul, neem-babool fauna, tigers, leopards, striped hyenas, common or Hanuman langurs, rhesus macaques, jackals, jungle cats, caracals, blackbuck mahwadner wolf. Location, it is located in the Latehar district of Sanctuary, Jharkhand. It was declared a sanctuary in 1976. Significance, it is India's first and only wolf sanctuary, dedicated to the conservation of the Indian grey wolf, Canis lupus palipes. Association, the sanctuary is an integral part of Palamau Tiger Reserve. Wildlife, the sanctuary is home to many species of wild animals including spotted deer, wild boar, hyena, bear, and wolf. Kultaha Wildlife Location, it is located in the Balasore district. Sanctuary of Odisha, within the Eastern Ghats. Conservation significance, it forms a part of the Similipal Kultaha Hadgar Elephant Reserve, serving as an important corridor for elephant movement and conservation. Ecological connectivity, the sanctuary is ecologically linked to the Similipal Tiger Reserve through the Nato and Sakupata hill ranges. Vegetation, the forest type is a mix of peninsular sal forests and moist, mixed deciduous forests. Flora, prominent tree species include sal, jamun, payasal, baira, mango, and simul. Fauna, the sanctuary is home to a variety of wildlife, including elephants, wild cats, leopards, gaurs, long-tailed monkeys, and giant squirrels. Notable bird species found here include peafowl, hill mynas, and hornbills. Sarup Chu Conservation Reserve Greater Flamingo Sanctuary. The Sarup Chu Conservation Reserve was recently notified by the Himachal Pradesh government. Location, it is located in the remote and high-altitude region of Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh. The reserve is bordered by the Union Territory of Ladakh to the north, the Kibir Wildlife Sanctuary, extending up to Malang Nala and Lungarlungpa to the east, Kabjima Nala to the south, and the Chandratal Wildlife Sanctuary to the west. Fauna, it is particularly known for the snow leopard, often called the ghost of the mountains. Other species, Tibetan wolf, beryl, blue sheep, Himalayan ibex, kiang, wild ass, and the Tibetan argali, rare bird species such as rose finch, Tibetan raven, etc. Tamil Nadu has declared the Greater Flamingo Sanctuary at Dhanushkodi to protect an important stopover site on the Central Asian Flyway used by thousands of migratory wetland birds. About the Greater Flamingo IUCN status, least concern range, found across Africa, Western Asia, including India, and Southern Europe. Habitat, nests in shallow saline or alkaline wetlands. Behavior, although capable of wide dispersal outside the breeding season, greater flamingos show strong site fidelity, often returning to or staying near specific locations. Notable breeding site. The Kutch Desert Wildlife Sanctuary in Gujarat's Great Rann of Kutch is South Asia's only known breeding area for greater flamingos, earning it the nickname Flamingo City.